If I mentioned ingredients like olive oil, sage, and lemon, you might think that we are making a marinade for some grilled chicken. We're not. Today we're actually using them to bake a cake. And while yes, those ingredients might normally be associated with savory foods, this cake is indeed sweet. Now, I love a recipe with a twist, and this lemon olive oil sage cake hits that on the mark. Now, don't worry, it's got the usual ingredients that you would also find in an ordinary cake: the eggs, the flour, the sugar, etc. But it's those headline components that give this cake a savory twist. And best of all, it's not that hard to make. So, let's get baking. Hello and welcome to I Want to Cook. My name is Chef Matt, and this channel is all about helping you be a better cook, and you are gonna look like a superstar after making this cake today. This, like I said, is a lemon olive oil sage cake, and I first saw the basis for this recipe in the New York Times. It was more of an ordinary lemon cake, lemon and olive oil cake, and I made it and it was really, really good. But I wanted something else. I wanted something else for a little more pizzazz, so that's where the fried sage comes in. Yes, we take some sage leaves, we quick fry them in some olive oil, we garnish them on top along with some extra lemon zest, and wow, this cake absolutely pops. Even as someone who doesn't especially have a sweet tooth, well, I absolutely love this cake, and I think you will too. Now, a component that really also sets this cake apart is the olive oil. And that might sound weird to you. You might be thinking, olive oil in a dessert cake? What's going on here? Well, let me tell you, it works. So the olive oil takes the place of like a vegetable oil or a butter, a similar type of fat that you would be using in another cake batter. But with olive oil, well, it gives it kind of a rich flavor and a rich mouthfeel, and it works really, really well with the white chocolate and the yogurt that we are also using in this cake. Now, of course, we have eggs, we have sugar. We're also going to use almond flour, and that's going to give this cake kind of a denser texture and a more nutty flavor, and of course flour. Now, I'm gluten-free, so I'm using a gluten-free blend of flour. This is Bob's Red Mill. Of course, you can use any flour that you want, but if you are gluten-free, know that this cake works really, really well that way. Now, I know there are several ingredients that go into this cake, but really this is not all that hard to make. In fact, you can pretty much make the entire batter in just one bowl. But the key to success with this cake, and well, with any cooking, is getting everything ready and prepped. This is called mise en place. I did a whole episode on it, and this is a terrific recipe to practice your mise en place, to make sure absolutely everything is ready to go and in the order that you need it. Now, as for the equipment needed to make this cake, it's nothing super special. You will, of course, need an oven, but you could even use a toaster oven for this because, well, we're only using just a 9-inch cake pan like this, and even this will fit in most toaster ovens. It also helps to have one of these. This is an electric mixer, just a hand mixer. This is my vintage GE model that we'll be using that I got at a thrift store. These help a lot. You can also use a stand mixer. And by the way, if you're wondering about the differences between something like a stand mixer and this hand mixer, well, I did a whole video on that. You'll also want some parchment paper, and if you can get a double boiler setup, just placing, well, that bowl over a pot, that's how we're going to melt the chocolate. But you could also do that in the microwave, but I just find it easier to melt it directly into the bowl. So there's the basics. I'm gonna get all the ingredients prepped, and then we are going to bake this absolutely fabulous lemon olive oil sage cake. I'll show you exactly how it's done. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is actually prep our cake pan, and because we want this parchment paper within, what I like to do is just flip this over and then just draw an outline of where to cut it. I am really, really bad at arts and crafts, as you can see by my tracing here. So this is about the extent of my skills here, but you get the idea. We're just going to trace this. And by the way, this is like a really fun type of thing to do if you have kids or somebody else to help you in the kitchen. This is something that you can put them to work doing. So we're just going to cut around here and get this all ready. Now we simply take some olive oil. This is the same kind that we're going to use for our cake, and we just put this right into the pan. This is called greasing. Whenever you hear the term greasing a pan, well, this is all that we're doing. You could also use some nonstick spray if you want, but I just am going with the theme here of the olive oil. Now we're just going to put this right in here, and as you can see, this is going to stick very nicely, and now we have our cake pan all prepped. Now we prep and measure all of our other ingredients, starting with the olive oil. This is half a cup. Okay, we have all of our ingredients prepped and in the order that we are going to use them. Now we are going to preheat our oven to 325 degrees Fahrenheit. White chocolate. I love this stuff. This is what we're going to be melting over our double boiler. There's going to be ever so slightly less in this cake. Now it's time to melt our white chocolate, and to do that I am just using a double boiler. You might remember this. This is my vintage Visions pot. It's the pot that you can see through, and well, it works really well for this application. So this only takes a couple of minutes. We are going to set this metal bowl directly over this pot of simmering water, and we are going to melt this chocolate. This is an ideal use for a double boiler. Okay, it is go time. Our chocolate has cooled just a bit. We've got our mixer plugged in. Now we are gonna get this batter together. The first thing we're gonna do is drizzle in the olive oil slowly as you do the mixing. Don't rush this. You just wanna drizzle it in so everything is incorporated. I'm using my mixer on about low to medium right now. Now that the olive oil is incorporated into the white chocolate, we add the eggs and everything else in order. And don't forget to scrape down the sides as needed. And we've got our batter. Give it a nice tap or two just on your table so that any extra bubbles get out of it. Now we simply pour the batter into the cake pan. Now give the pan a gentle tap or two to try to get any extra air bubbles out. And remember, you are not supposed to lick the batter. Now carefully put in the center rack of your oven. Again, this is 325 degrees. We are going to let this cook for about 45 to 65 minutes or until a toothpick inserted in the middle comes out cleanly. Okay, while the cake bakes, I'm gonna clean everything up, and then we are going to fry some sage. Oh, it's just gonna be absolutely extravagant, and your kitchen is going to smell so amazing making this. Okay, let's fry some sage. I have a little pot here just heating over about medium. We are going to pour in enough olive oil to just kind of coat the bottom. You don't need too much for this. And we are going to get this nice and hot. And you'll know the oil is hot enough if when you drop in a leaf, it just starts to sizzle and bubble just like that. So that's all we're going to do here. And this does not take long. We just want to kind of quick fry these just for a few seconds. You don't want them to turn too dark. I'm doing this outside because it can be, well, the smell is kind of strong. So that's why I'm doing it outdoors here, but it does smell amazing. And here we go, just like that. We have these quick fried sage leaves. I'm gonna make a bunch of these so that we can put on top of that cake, and well, you might just wanna munch on these on their own. They're really, really good. By the way, if you have any oil left, you've just created an herb-infused oil, in this case, sage oil. Don't toss this. You can use this as part of a dressing or a vinaigrette. It's delicious on its own. Okay, our cake has been cooking for about 45 minutes, and I know in this oven things tend to cook a little bit faster, so we are going to prick this with a tall pick here and see if it comes out clean. Yes, that looks great. So we are going to pull our cake out. Oh, doesn't this look absolutely delicious? And we are gonna let this cool here for about 15 minutes before we do anything. Just set it aside, let it cool. After the cake is cooled for about 15 minutes, we are gonna cool it on a rack. So take a knife and just kind of gently go around the sides here, make sure that it won't stick. Now put a plate over the cake pan and invert. Then finally, we are going to put this out onto a cooling rack, just like this. Let this cool for about 30 minutes. All right, friends, I guarantee this has been worth the wait. Our cake is finally ready for its final flourish. It is cooled, it is now just warm, and we are going to finish this off in an absolutely over-the-top manner. So we've got our fried sage leaves, and we are just going to place these just all over the top here. This smells so good. And then finally, we are going to take our zester and just zest some fresh lemon right over the top. Pro tip, you'll want to use an organic lemon for this because sometimes standard lemons, they're coated in a wax and you don't want that on your cake or, well, anything else. And finally, okay, I guarantee this has been worth the wait. We've got a slice of our lemon olive oil sage cake. Isn't this a thing of beauty? Now again, I like to garnish mine with a little extra lemon zest on top. Serve this warm, and it is just absolute heaven. This is so moist, so unctuous, and so delicious. I truly hope you give this a try. This can keep for a few days tightly wrapped on the counter, or you can refrigerate it for a bit longer. But honestly, it's so good, I think it's all going to be gobbled up very soon. Okay, trivia time. Last week I asked you to identify which of these Pyrex pitchers is the older one, and several of you got it right. Those of you who identified this red pitcher with the capital Pyrex letters is indeed correct. This is the older one, and this, despite this having kind of vintage emblem here, is the newer one. The difference is this Pyrex pitcher is made of what's called borosilicate glass, and it's more resistant to thermal shock. These newer ones are made with soda lime glass, and while they are totally fine for measuring and such, they're just not the best for having hot liquids and such put into them, like this kind here. This is a vintage one, an older one that I got at the thrift store. You can still buy this stuff, I believe, but it's just a little bit harder to find. But there's oodles of it out there secondhand if you are looking for an older borosilicate Pyrex pitcher. For this week's culinary trivia, we are headed back to the produce aisle. I think this one's pretty easy. I think a lot of you are going to identify it. What is this? If you know what this is, or you have a guess, put it in the comments below, and I will of course let you know the correct answer in the next video. As always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Until next time, I hope you want to cook.